Hey everybody, this is going to be a tutorial for your abstract poster. I'm still deciding a name. We called it 3D depth map last time because that was like a big step in the project. So let me show you what they kind of looked like last year. This right here, this, and this. All three of these were originally really basic photos. Ready? That was the original photo right there, and through heavy amounts of distortion, you'll get a design like that. Or in this case with the mountain peaks one. Ready? The original photo was that. Then I applied all these effects, changed the colors and the image adjustments, added a border, added the text. And then ditto, this one right here was one of those binocular things right there. And then the final result right here. Now, we're going to do something a little different, though, this year than the normal, which is just a little bit more tacked on to the end. So here is the rundown. Starting with this, some kind of rooftop, right? And then you'll see this further coming up, but you'll be distorting it into these kind of 3D spikes. You'll be able to rotate the image in full 3D, but you'll be making not just one of them, but quite a few. Here's a second one that I laid over top of it just to give it a little bit more depth. Then I actually had two other ones, but they've been liquefied. So here are the two liquefations popping in and out right now, which I think really, really help with the aesthetic. I'll go in order of what I did next. After I did that, I then applied a hue saturation to get a different kind of color vibe to it. I edited that color a little bit further with a color balance. It's very subtle, but I do like it better. And then last but not least, editing the brightness and contrast to give it that pop. After that, then I went on to the border, which is really simple. I just stuck it right behind the layers of the warped ones or the liquefied ones. So there's the border, but it looks far more complicated and cooler with the other one there. The other thing, actually, I should speak to with the liquefy, I believe it's this one, yeah. So on Edit 4, I changed this layer mode, so it's darker color right now, but normally you'll see that they're all kind of normal, so you can kind of play around with that as well. Last but not least, I installed a cool font, gave it a title relative to the original photo being some kind of rooftop, and then I put my name on it down here in the bottom left, so you'll be kind of following suit with that. All right, let's close all of these files and let's get started. So just Xing out of these tabs, close, close. All right, the first thing I recommend is using a particular website to get very high quality photos. So the full website name, let me type it in again for you guys. It is burst.shopify.com right there. And that'll take you to this website right here. In it, we'll just close out of there. You don't need a free trial. Everything on here that we'll be using is free. You can search for specific photos that you want in here. If you scroll down pretty far, though, there are categories of photos as well, like lots and lots of categories. But up to you. You could do view all collections. I believe that even expands more of the categories in here as well. So let's try something from urban life, like cities. So I'll click on here. And then you'll see that even categories are broken down into further categories here. Luxury, yeah. I was going to say, the reason we're using this website is because the photo resolution really, really, really matters for this project. So you don't want to just take a random photo off of Google because it might not be good enough, you know? I thought they were going to be of mansions, so hold on. I'm not really fond of those. There we go, like a mall right there. Perfect. Okay. So after you find a photo that you do like, hover over it and then click high res right here. That'll give you the highest resolution of the photo. Now, it might not download automatically like this one did not. However, you'll notice over here, you'll see download free photo. Go ahead and do that. This is just a pop-up. You can ignore that. There comes the real photo right there. Now, ready? Watch. We're zoomed out. This is the zoom in of this photo. So this is a huge photo, and that's good. We need that for this project. What you're going to want to do is click with two fingers on top of the photo. And for research purposes, you can do save image to downloads or save image as. I'm going to go ahead and do save image as. And make sure the where says desktop. You can name it kind of whatever you want and then hit save. The reason why I recommend that you save it to desktop, you'll see in just a quick second. we're going to make a new file now in Photoshop. So where it says Photoshop here, create new file. These are your settings. You do want to go vertical on this one. Make sure that it's in inches. So if it is pixels, change it to inches. And then the width is going to be 12. The height is going to be 18. And the resolution is going to be 300. Orientation should be tall. Color mode you can leave as RGB. Background content's white. I never edit the advanced options. Naming it. I recommend that you change the name from Untitled 1 to something. We'll call it Poster Design. And then I'm going to hit create. So I should have a tall white rectangle. Let me try to get my workspace something similar. So this is the default workspace over here on the right. You're going to have a lot of layers. We can legitimately get rid of color and properties. So where you see these buttons right here, you can do this and then close tab group, and ditto right here on properties, close tab group, if you haven't done so already. Okay, so now to import your photo. If you go down to your Finder icon, the blue and white face, click on desktop because that's where we saved it to, and then here mine is Busy Shopping Mall. I'm going to click and drag it into the image. Now it doesn't fill the space, and that's perfectly okay for right now. Just hit return because we're going to be editing this. Layer management is huge in this project. So where it says Busy Shopping Mall on your layers, double click and call this original. That's going to be your original photo, and we're not going to edit it. We're going to make 4 copies of this layer. The I think easier to teach way, but slightly longer way to copy a layer, you can click and drag it onto this plus sign down here at the bottom. So click, drag, drop, and you'll see that made original copy. The other easier way though is hold down the command key and press J. So now I have my original 1, 2, oh, I need one more. The reason why you need 4, you're gonna call them edit 1, edit 2, edit 3, and edit 4. We're going to be creating 4 different kind of like 3D versions of this photo. And we don't need all these eyeballs. The original one, you can eyeball it, and if you want to click on the layer and be super safe, you can hit this padlock button right here so that the original is never edited. Let's start with number 1. So I'm going to actually eyeball out 2, 3, and 4, and then I'm also going to make sure that I have the edit 1 layer selected. All right. So for the 3D effect, it's up at the very tip top of your screen, like the literal top. 3D, and then you're going to hover over New Mesh from Layer right here, and you're going to choose Depth Map, or not choose, hover over Depth Map 2, and choose Plane. I know that was a lot of menus right there, so pause, take a look, there it is, go. After you hit that, it might ask to go into a 3D workspace. Hit yes to this. This will change a little bit of the UI, but you do need these. You'll see that it added properties up here to your top right. Where you see presets, the first thing that you should do, change it from customs, click. There's a lot of options if you scroll up. The one that you're going to look for is unlit texture right here. By doing that, you'll notice that it makes the photo look a little more kind of realistic, but wait, if you click and drag, you might have to let go. It does take a little bit of time to process depending on the strength of your computer. You'll see that like it really changes the effect of the photo. And just kind of keep rotating it until you get to a point that you think is pretty cool. Now, I know the older versions of Photoshop were smoother with this, and I've been finding that the more recent ones are actually more like choppy. So once you're pretty content with it, I like this one. Again, keep in mind, we are doing 4 of these. Go back to your layer that says Edit 1. Click with 2 fingers on the layer and choose Rasterize Layer. That kind of confirms the 3D effect for that one is done, and it turned it back into a 2D image. Click on, actually, we can eyeball out Edit 1. Eyeball in and select Edit 2. Same thing. 3D, New Mesh from Layer, Depth Map 2, Plane. Again, up here in Properties, change the preset from Custom to Unlit Texture. Get a slightly different rotation. Try to not end up with like the exact same thing from before. Ooh, that's pretty cool. And when you're content, click with 2 fingers on the layer and choose Rasterize Layer. We're going to do these steps 2 more times together. So on Edit 3, same effects. We are going to change the preset to Unlit Texture. And I'm going to rotate. Now it gets a little trickier because I don't want it to look like Edit 1 or 2 for that matter. I think that's a little too similar to Edit 1. There we go. Then 2-finger click and Rasterize Layer. Eyeball out. Bring in 4. One last time. that on the texture. Honestly, I might just kind of leave it right there because that's different. All right, and 2-finger click and rasterize layer. So now that I have these 4, I need to choose 2 for my background and 2 to liquefy. This I was thinking when I got it, I liked it for background, so edit 2. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag edit 2 right above the original being like just something that we kind of leave alone. With you're gonna need the move tool selected. That's the top left tool here. Make sure that auto select is off and show transform controls is on because you want this box around the object. Whatever your first image is that you're choosing for your background, you want to make it really big. So feel free to rotate, size it. You can zoom out with Command- or pinching and pulling. You don't want any of this space shown. White space. After you're done resizing it, press the return key, and then you'll notice that it bumps the quality back up. It should be pretty good quality. And again, that's why we chose those high-res images. Second one that you're looking for is something that you can kind of stack on top of it. I could work with this one, but I might liquefy that. Maybe I'll choose this one. You can size that up. You can rotate that, place it kind of wherever you want. Whatever you think looks cool. Maybe I'll leave it like that just to give it a little bit, some other colors in there. Yeah, okay, cool. And again, keep in mind, colors are changing in a little bit. So it looks like 3 and 4 are gonna be the ones that I'm gonna liquefy. So I'm gonna take edit 3 right here, and I'm gonna shift him kind of like right here for right now. Place him, again, he's gonna be liquefied in just a second. And then 4, I will rotate 4 and put that one maybe like that right there. All right, so let's start with layer 3. So I'm gonna have a layer 3 selected, and to liquefy, you go all the way up to the top of the screen, and you're gonna choose filter. Then be careful of this. In a second, you guys will see a liquefy at the top here. What that does is repeats your last liquefy. You wanna do a new one every time, so look for this liquefy right here. After you hit liquefy, you're gonna get to this screen. Now, don't go completely nuts and drag really, really fast because this can be laggy. In the top left, make sure that you have the forward warp tool on, and you can change the size of your brush with the bracket keys, left being small, right being large. I'm gonna start kind of large here, and my goal here is to unspike this and kind of make it smooth, almost everywhere anyway, at least on the outsides of the shape. And just kind of have some fun with it. Warp it around. Again, we're going for kind of like a marbled liquid effect to this. If you want to get in there then with a smaller brush and do more detail, you can. The bigger brush, though, I find is kind of neat because it moves these colors around pretty well. And I'm just going for, I don't know, I'm not really even thinking. I'm just kind of going for like a nice flowy object here. Okay, now that I'm content with it, I'm gonna hit OK in the bottom right of this preview window. And there it is, all my projects. Let's hop up to edit 4 right here because we're gonna do the same thing to that. And we're gonna go to filter, careful of this liquefy, choose the one right here and hit liquefy. Same thing, I'm going to start just kind of like messing around. Maybe try to drag this a little more down. Maybe increase my brush size. I think the bigger the brush, the more careful you gotta be with your strokes. That's where the lag can really start to kick in. And the bigger the brush, it seems like it mixes the colors together more, which you may or may not want. Like, I still like all these little individual colors in here, so. Okay, got it. Hit OK in the bottom. See what that looks like. Pretty cool looking. Something else you can do, or now, you know what, we're gonna mess with the layer modes in just a second. Let's get our color balance and everything like that on. So let's just take a look at it. I like it. I'm happy with it so far anyway. So now we're gonna do image adjustments. If you look down here at the bottom of your layer window, I'm gonna find one that's like a half circle. That's all of these image adjustments. We're gonna use 3. We're gonna start with hue and saturation. So go ahead and click on that right now. In hue saturation, when you click on it, your properties window up here will change. Hue is a fancy word for color. So if you slide this around, you'll see that it like changes all of the colors of the image. And you may or may not like this. Don't feel that you have to change them. The thing I would recommend maybe even before changing hue is saturation. Bump it up a good bit because now when you change your colors, you'll really notice. And maybe you just want just saturation up. Like I'm kind of like enjoying going back somewhere close to like the middle right here. Lightness, I wouldn't touch this because we're going to change this in brightness contrast. So I would just kind of leave that alone for right now. After you're satisfied with hue saturation, go back down to the image adjustment circle, this little half circle guy right there. Click on that, and then go to color balance right here. After you choose color balance, where it says tone, you'll see shadows, midtones, and highlights. I'd recommend that you start with midtones and then check out the other two. So they will change. They won't like be as forceful of a change that in comparison to what you call it, hue saturation, but they will slightly push the colors in the direction that you slide these sliders to. So I'm just going around seeing what I like. I don't really want to go red again because I did go red, I think, in the last one. I always like yellow for highlights. I'm kind of hard to convince otherwise. Ooh, maybe I'll go blue. All right. After you're content with your color balance with the 3 different tones right there, go back to the bottom to this half circle guy, click on it, and now choose brightness contrast. Brightness contrast, you'll get these 2 sliders. The first thing I recommend doing is upping the contrast by a good chunk, and then you can kind of play around with brightness and see where the desired effect is. More often than not, you're going to like a high contrast versus a low contrast. It makes the darks pop and the lights pop. So, and then brightness is up to you. You could go that, you could go that. I like a slightly darker one. We'll go right about there. All right, before we do text, let's take a look at Edit 3 and Edit 4 layers right here, and we're going to look at layer modes. So with Edit 3 selected, you know what we can do? We can actually go out of the 3D mode now. So before we do this, let's go to Window at the top. Let's hover over Workspace, and then let's change it back to Essentials. Or if you saved a digital design one from earlier in the class, that would be nice too. So there we go. It looks like our properties window stayed. We're no longer going to need that, so I could hit this and hit close tab group. So that way I have all my layers here. Anyway, with layer 4 or edit 4, see what it says normal right here, and that's the layer mode. Click on that and you can scroll through all of these options and check out what they do. You might like certain ones, like linear color right there is really cool to me. So, so is hard light though. So is pin light. I'm getting some good options in here. I think I liked hard light. Then with edit 3, same thing, check them all out. Linear burn, again, is cool. Normally overlay is a pretty good one, but it's a little subtle. Or if you want to, on some of them, you can just leave them normal. Leave it normal, maybe readjust, maybe move it around a little bit again. Maybe I'll take that. Maybe I'll move edit 4 down. Yeah, neat. All right, cool. Content. Border and text. So let's get the border done. That's way more simple than it looked in the other one. What I want you to do is select your topmost layer that is like part of the background, not the warped ones, but like the original 3D ones. So for me, it's edit 1. It all depends on which one you use. Then hit the create new layer button down here in the bottom right with the little plus sign. It should make a layer called layer 1. Double click on it and just call it border. All right, everybody's border is going to be a little off, but as long as you get it kind of in the ballpark, it'll look good. The tool that you want is the rectangle marquee tool, kind of like top left-ish, right below the move tool. And what I want you to do, don't start at the very corner of the image like this. Start about here. Click and drag down and leave a little bit of room around all the outsides. Try to make a selection like this and then let go. Should look something like that. Click with 2 fingers and look for the option called stroke. When you click on stroke, here are the settings that I really think you should use. 30px for the size, color white, location inside, and then these are by default, so you're fine with that. And then hit OK. If you want to, hold Command and hit D to deselect any selection with that. And then same thing with border. Instead of leaving it a stark white, click on the layer mode up here, normal, kind of flip through and choose one that you like, because there might be ones like overlay that make it a little more subtle. Or you could just lower the transparency, exclusion, is actually pretty cool here too. I'm going to try to keep it, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go exclusion. And then where it says opacity up here at 100%, I'm going to decrease that down to maybe, I'm going to leave it at 100. Never mind. All right. Anyway, up to you. Mess around with it. The only requirement is that you have a border. So don't worry about, if you want to change it or not. It's up to you. Text. So let me show you the website that we use for that. Again, going to Safari and going to this website called dafont.com. Has lots of different categories, and you'll see some fonts like come up on the homepage. You can hit on like themes, new fonts. You could go in here. You could use the search bar right there. Let's just go to new fonts and see. Nope. Let's go to top. So these are highest voted ones, but you know what? They've been there for so long, it might not be better to use them. So we'll go to new fonts and we'll check and see if I find one that I like. Hopefully these are new fonts that are good, not just like literally what's uploaded last. And try to pick something that kind of goes along with your like aesthetic that's in there. That one looks like a European license plate. I'm gonna go for I'm gonna go Windstone. Download. Oh, so when you like it, look at the font. Click on download right here. Okay. Afterwards, it will go to your downloads folder. So go to your Finder right here, and then click on downloads. And it might come in a folder. Like if you see that's in a folder, double click to open the folder. But then you're either looking for a .ttf or .otf file. Double click on that, and you're gonna get a pop-up. And in the pop-up, you'll get a little preview of what the lettering looks like. This preview is not the world's best. But then hit install. If you go down from all fonts to my fonts, you can see every font that you downloaded into your computer. It is important that you remember the name of the font because we're going to have to search it in Photoshop. So Windstone. So now I'm going to go back into Photoshop. I'm going to choose the basic text tool, the horizontal type tool right here. Literally looks like a T. Certain things. First of all, the color right here. Double click that, change that to white for right now. Size you can leave alone at 30 for now. Where whatever font name it says right here, mine is Helvetica Neue. Maybe yours by default might say Myriad Pro. Let me pick that. So it might say this. Click on it, swipe it, delete it, and then type in the name of your font. In my case, Windstone. Afterwards, click just once. Don't click and drag, just tap, click. And it is hard to see. Let me zoom in. You will get the words lorem ipsum. This is not anything in any language. This is literally just placeholder dummy text. You can now, when it's highlighted like that, type in whatever you want. What was the original one? Mall. All right, mega sale. After you type it, obviously it's going to be way too small. Take the move tool right here. And the good thing is text never pixelates. So I can make this thing huge. And everybody's font's going to look different. So I think that's kind of cool. Click and drag this guy down. Make it look, good. Fit it. The font, up to you where you want to place it. I mean, to me, it makes the most sense over top of things. But honestly, after I had it behind these, I kind of like that. So I think I'm going to go with that. I think I'll just kind of leave that alone, like right there. The font, I would leave stark white. If you want to, you can go to layer modes and check them out. But you do want the font to be readable. So I would just leave that alone at normal. Now for your name at the bottom, last thing with font, take the type tool. Before you change anything with your font, just click once and you're going to get lorem ipsum again. But don't use the same font that you just used up there where it says Windstone or whatever your font is. Delete it. Type in Helvetica and specifically look for Helvetica Neue Condensed Black. And the reason why is that it's super easy to read. And then just type in design by, I did a colon, and then your name. Take the move tool. I wouldn't change the size. Let's just leave it at 30 because that way everybody's name tag part will be the same. Try to lace it up by moving it right to the bottom left. Let me do a little zoom out so you can see my whole final design. And there we go. Done. All right, I'm excited to see what we all get because these are going to look a lot different and nothing like the original. So ready? Final result here. Original photo there. I think it's cool that we title ours something by the original photo when we display them. we can hang the original next to it and be like, hey, this is the photo that we used to get to this. All right, guys, take care.